How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Geordie geek. Welcome back to the channel for a Masters of the Universe special. And I'm joined by my good friend, Luke from Hydra Collectibles. How are you, Luke?
I'm very good, Peter. I love to be here to talk about Masters of the Universe, one of my favourite franchises of all time.
Yeah, it's fair to say that you and I are both Masters geeks a little bit. We both love the franchise and have been watching it for a long, long time. So before we get into the show, and what we're going to be doing, ladies and gents, is showing three of our favourite heroes and three of our favourite villains. So stick around to see that. But before we do that, Luke, I wanted to ask you, when did your love of Masters of the Universe start, and why? Why this franchise in particular?
So, in the grand scheme of things, of when the series first aired, I was quite late to the game. I think like it was starting to fall out of favour in like '86, and I was only born in '85. So I'm
Harsh. Harsh. You've
very
said that on purpose. I was born 77.
just a little dig.
Yeah.
But do you know what? One of my earliest memories as a child was waking up one Christmas and my parents giving me a He-Man and Battle Cat in box, as a two-pack together, and ripping that open and absolutely loving it. And obviously that was a new toy, so I don't know whether or not they just acquired it beforehand or whether or not it was still on sale at that time. But I was much older, so if we're talking like '86 when it was falling out of favor, I was like 4 or 5 years old when I
Right.
got that
Right.
toy. So, it's quite a strange one, really. I'm not sure where my parents acquired that toy from,
Yeah.
but I fell in love with it instantly from that moment on.
So that was your first He-Man figure, a Battle Cat and He-Man.
Battle Cat and He-Man, yeah, and
Yeah.
I still have the Battle Cat.
Yeah. Very cool. So for me, it was before I'd even seen the cartoon and things like that. I'd gone to visit my auntie and uncle in London, and we went to one of the big toy stores there, and it was the new exciting toy line on the shelves. But literally, the only figure that they had in stock was, I get the name wrong. It's Stratos, isn't it? Stratos.
Stratos, the winged
Yeah, the bird guy.
character, yeah.
That was literally the only figure they had. So I picked up a Stratos, and then got the sticker album and then the cartoon, and just fell in love with it since then. Before we crack on, Luke, I'm going to touch on the recent show, Master of the Universe Revolution. Just quickly, what did you think of that?
I absolutely loved it. To be fair, I loved the previous season, Revelation, and Revolution was just a really nice follow up to that. I was a little bit skeptical with the cybotic
Yeah,
style
yeah, yeah,
Skeletor.
yeah,
That even at the end of that last season, I was like, "Oh, that's a nice twist. I see who's coming. I know where
yeah,
this is going." But I wasn't a fan of the look that Skeletor had, and that the way his arm was all big and like almost serpent-like, which
yeah,
I kind of understand the desire for it. Um, to be fair, that's the only toy out of the
yeah,
toy line that I haven't picked up because I don't like it.
yeah, yeah.
But other than that, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really good show. Again, like I say, both seasons. I know people say seasons one and two, but it was season one in two halves, and then we had
Yeah,
season two,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I absolutely love it, and I really want more.
Absolutely. I'm completely with you. I'm desperate for more. I'm with you as well. The design of Skeletor I found a little bit odd because that weird arm was his Havoc staff, wasn't it? Created as a
Yes.
kind of a weird arm thing. It's interesting to see a new take on him, but I want classic Skeletor back at some point. I'm sure if we get another season, we will get that. Although, that said, I don't want Skeletor to be the main villain for season 3 if we get it, but I'm going to touch on that later on who I want to be the main villain. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do today is, as I said, Luke's going to show off three hero characters, and I'm going to show off three villain characters. So, Luke, we'll start with you. Tell a little bit about your first character.
So, for anyone who knows me or has seen my channel before, you'll know that I absolutely love Battle Cat. I love Cringer. I love Battle Cat. Everything about that green tiger is absolutely superb. So, as I mentioned before, I do actually own my original.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
am missing the strap. That was mostly because as a child I chewed it. Yeah, it happens. I'm so glad my kids aren't chewers. My kids' toys are pristine. I love
Yeah.
that. But that's my first Battle Cat, and since then I've gone on to buy many more. You can probably see in the background behind me there. I've got the Mondo Battle Cat heads on display, and the
Yeah.
actual Battle Cat beside the 1/6 scale. But yeah, Battle Cat for me has always been my favorite character. He's the character that I feel is the most relatable to a child when they're watching the show because he's a scaredy cat. You know, most kids love the idea of having a pet, and most kids do have a cat or a dog. And being a loyal companion of Prince Adam and being the scaredy cat, the one afraid of all the danger that's around him, I feel like kids can relate to that. And then obviously you've got He-Man bestowing the power to Battle Cat or to Cringer to create Battle Cat, which then in turn makes him strong and brave and loyal and fearless. And I think it's a really good role model for kids because it shows you it's okay to be afraid, but at the same time persevere and you can be great. So like I say, I just showed you that figure there, but I've also got the original Big Jim tiger that it was all of course based on. And then finally, you don't get these very often, so this is actually a Cringer figure.
Yeah.
So this was actually part of the classics line, and he actually came with Queen Marlena. That was the only way that they could. So he's a static figure. There's no movement there whatsoever. But it's so great to actually have a Cringer because we get Battle Cat all the time.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Very cool. And I have to say, in the recent Masters of the Universe series, I teared up a little bit where where Battle Cat and He-Man are talking, and he says, "I've loved being your Battle Cat." I thought that was a brilliant little scene.
I wasn't expecting that voice still to be there though.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
But I do love him, and again, so that scene was beautiful in itself. But my favorite scene is actually from the first season. No, it's not the first season, or it might be the beginning of the second season. I can't remember. But it's where after He-Man's wounded, and they're all there, and Skeletor's approaching him, and it's like, oh my god, what's going to happen? How are they going to get through this? And he's like, I've got a brave friend. And then all of a sudden he jumps in and he saves the day. And I just love that cat. I really do.
Yeah, I do. Me too. Great character. Did you get the Battle Cat from the Masters of the Universe series? I can't remember what it was. The kind of the anime type style one.
Yes, so I've got every single Battle Cat that has currently been released in every format, even to the point where I've got like little stamp figures, where they got the stamp attached to the bottom. I literally have everything Battle Cat, which is why I needed that Mondo one so much. I literally begged my wife because that was a lot of money.
Stunning.
That was a lot of money.
It's a pricey figure, but it's a stunning figure, I have to say. It's amazing. Okay, moving on to my first pick. And I kind of gave a little hint earlier on. My first pick is a classic character called King Hiss, who's the king of the Snake Men. Absolutely love this character. He didn't actually get an appearance in the original Filmation cartoon, but he did get an action figure and a mini comic. And the mini comic told his backstory about him being a kind of an alien. An ancient alien conqueror that fought Hero and various people and got put into kind of a limbo thing and then was brought back by Skeletor later on. He was the main villain in season 2, I believe, of the 2002 Masters of the Universe season. I just love him. I love him. And I love him because, again, this is my original, I love him because as a figure, as a toy line, I liked Masters of the Universe when you got unique figures and you got different weird kind of things. So King Hiss, for those of you that don't know, comes as this, but he's in essence, he's I think is it 5 snakes all intertwined to create his snake-like body. Oh, shit. To create a snake-like body, and I just, as a kid, I loved that aesthetic. I loved that kind of. I just loved the toy. I thought the toy was amazing. And he's a great character in the 2002 run, like I say, where he comes across really evil. And is obviously in charge of the Snake Men. You get some great characters in that. I would love this character as the main villain in season 3 of a new Masters series. What do you think, Luke?
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. One of the best villain characters that we've had in the franchise, because we've always had obviously Skeletor and his like group of cronies, and then obviously we had Hordak and the Horde, and then obviously King Hiss being thrown into the mix. And it's so nice that they, sometimes the bad guys have to band together with the good guys in order to fight someone who's even worse. It's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the Snake Men, like you say, some amazing figures. I always wondered, is Whiplash considered one of the Snake Men, or is he something completely different?
I think, did he not come first? I think he came before.
I know he came first, but I don't know if they kind of linked him to that later on.
I can't remember, but it would make perfect sense. But I can't remember if he was or not. Okay, mate, what's your next one?
So my next one is probably the greatest father figure ever put to screen, which is Man at Arms.
Good old Duncan.
Good old Duncan, yeah. So this is
Yeah.
actually my son's figure. Mine are actually on display, and I couldn't be bothered to get up and go get
Yeah.
them. But this is my son's Origins figure, and one of the great things about this is that they finally gave him the moustache.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
all the years before, we never had that. What I like about Duncan, what I like about Man at Arms, is that he's an inventor. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
he really is fitting to the whole Eternia backstory. You know, the whole idea that obviously like Hordak and the armies and all that lot had come once before, and that all this technology was there, and that it got into the ground, into the water system, everything, and we end up with like cyborgs and robotic dinosaurs and God
Yeah.
knows what else. But he's the only one that can really master that. You know, he is the everything that you see that the king and queen have within their kingdom that is to do with technology all comes from Duncan. You know,
Yeah.
he is the guy that created that. And I love the idea as well. The original you mentioned about King Hiss and the Snake Men in the 2000 X series. The original plan was to actually turn him into a snake man or
Yeah.
reveal that he was a snake man all along. I can't remember which one they were going for, but basically that would then enable them to make a lot more toys, but
Yeah.
this time wrapped around the whole snake man idea, and they would have the technology and then everyone could go to battle together. Now obviously that didn't happen, the show got cancelled by then, but I think that would have been quite cool to see. I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like the character, and seeing him as a villain maybe wouldn't sit quite right with me, but it worked for Tila.
Yeah, it would have been a really interesting dynamic, and that Snake Man look. So I've got the 1/6 scale Mondo
Mm,
Man at Arms, and for the exclusive, it comes with a Snake Man helmet head. So
very
we've
nice.
got the head sculpt, which is really cool. It looks amazing. Another great character. And do you know what? I really enjoyed him in the Masters of the Universe movie. I thought the portrayal of him and that was pretty good as the kind of the dad figure, always hungry and all that kind of stuff. Um,
I just love how loyal he is, not only to Prince Adam, like keeping his secret and all the rest of it, but even to King Randor. And over
yeah,
the time we've had a lot of backstory, especially in the comic books. Just pushing that forward and showing you their past. And then of course the fact that he's adopted Tila. I know the story has changed it in the latest Kevin Smith
yeah,
versions, but the fact that he would take the sorceress's daughter and raise her as his own. This man is just too good to be true. He's taken on a lot.
yeah,
That's all I can say.
yeah. Another great character. Another great character. Okie dokie. So my next pick is this guy. This is Clawful. I don't know how familiar you are with this character, Luke, but this for me is a character that I just absolutely loved again as a kid because of the toy, because of the you get this bloody huge claw thing, and I had hours of fun sticking He-Man's head and things into this claw, and I just think it's a great design for a character. Basically, he's like a human crab, lobster kind of thing. Interestingly, in the comic books. Well, in the first series, in the Filmation series, he's probably one of Skeletor's more able guys, shall we say. He was actually quite switched on. Skeletor referred to him as his right hand man on a few occasions. Don't know if that was a joke because of the size of his claw or whatever. But then in the Master of the Universe 20X series, they dumbed him down completely. So he went from being the most capable of Skeletor's kind of bad guys, rogues gallery, to one of the stupidest, which I'm not quite sure why they made that decision. We did see him in the Kevin Smith universe. I think he was at the end of the last season at the kind of the big assault on Grayskull. But yeah, he's just a cool character. I just love the design of him. I love the look of him. I love the fact that with the toy, you've even got kind of like the raised lumps and things, like a proper lobster's claw, Yeah, just a cool figure. I like that one. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, again, very toyetic.
Yeah,
This entire series, I think the reason why it done so well was because the toys were just so amazingly cool. It is literally a franchise that contains everything from
yeah,
knights and kingdoms to barbarians, your sea monsters, your wizards and warlocks, everything. And I think it is the toys that sell it. And like you say, that toy in itself, like amazing.
yeah.
How could you not love that, being able to grab your action figures, have that action feature and everything else? So yeah, a great pick.
Yeah, very cool. Now, Luke, your last pick, and you've just mentioned wizards, and I know you a little bit well, so I'm pretty sure I'm knowing what your next pick's gonna be. Let's have a look. Who have you got?
So my next pick is Orko.
Of course it is.
And I absolutely love him. This is actually my favorite version of
Yeah.
Orko put in figure form. This is from the 2000X series, and I've actually given him the Sword of Power to hold, mostly because I don't think Orko's as stupid as he makes out to be. We find out through various comic books and various series that it was actually the Trollans, Orko's people, that created the Sword of Power. And so it makes more sense to me that he has turned up on Eternia in order to watch over the sword and watch over He-Man. And I kind of feel like he's a bit of a secret agent. I don't think he's as dumb as he makes out, or as silly as he makes out to be. The Kevin Smith show again has shown us Orko the White, which is obviously in reference to Lord of the Rings and Gandalf. But I love it, and I love that look as well. I've got my son's origins figure of Orko, as well as this broke my heart seeing him that first time when the magic had left Eternia, and we thought, oh no, what's happening to Orko?
Yeah.
But he was a great character there as well. And then we not to forget the
I like that.
CGI show, which when I first saw this, I was like, oh, Orc, no, pun intended. Orko as this robot thing with the mind and the memories of the character that came before him, I was all in. I love this character now. So Orko is again just a fantastic character, and the whole idea of the Trollans and everything else. There's another one. There's like an evil version. He's like the unnamed one. And I really like that figure design as well. And I only know him from the figures. I've never encountered him in comics or shows, but I would like to see him. I've got that from the classics line. I just saw him in a shop and fell in love. But yeah, Orko is a fantastic character. Such a great. I can see why some people might find him annoying from the Filmation series, because he was kind of thrown in there for comic relief. But like I say, as they've built on his character over the years, and as we've got that backstory about the Sword of Power and everything else, I think there's more to him.
Yeah. No, I think he's a great character. I'm surprised we didn't get I mean, it's probably because of the special effects budget and stuff, but I'm surprised because he was a popular character. We didn't get him in the Masters movie. Do you know what I mean? Instead, that's Gwildor and all the rest.
That's why we got Gwildor. So I believe that they couldn't do the whole letting him float and having him there on screen, and so instead they went the other route of prosthetic makeup and having Gwildor, which I get. I wasn't a fan of Gwildor in the beginning, to be honest, and much like a lot of people out there, probably thought he was just a cheap stand-in for Orko. But again, going back to the Kevin Smith stuff, I love that chemistry between the two. And I feel like knowing that he was a replacement for Orko and then having them be there side by side in the show, it's a nice little bit of meta. Like you're kind of stepping back from it and going, I get what they're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Orko. I mean, I've recently picked up, or I've ordered the Mondo 1/6 scale Orko, so I'm looking forward to getting that.
Do you know what? I was desperate to pull that trigger, and I noticed that the pre-orders ended yesterday, and I was like, I couldn't even justify it. Why would they do that to us in January?
They might do another version coming down the line where you only get the main character and not all the add-ons and stuff. But seeing that the add-ons are the bit that are coolest.
Well, I want him with that more sinister, evil look, without the pupils. That's
pretty scary. Okay, my next pick is one of my favourite characters. This is probably, I mean, I could have gone easy and could have gone Skeletor on this because I love Skeletor or Hordak, but probably one of my favourite characters in the Masters universe. And again, it's because of the toy and because of how many accessories and fun you can have with all the different clip-ons and things, is good old Trapjaw. I just love this character. He stands out from everybody. The bright colours, the greens and the blues, the different arm mechanisms. This is an original Masters figure, but you get a whole host of different weapons that you can attach onto him. His different claws and stuff, his little jaw and everything. I just love him. I think he's a stunning action figure. Obviously a huge character in terms of being one of Skeletor's main men. He's a character, I don't know how much of the backstory you know, Luke, but originally, according to the mini comic, he was a kind of a interdimensional criminal that Skeletor accidentally brought to Eternia. and he managed to absorb the power of the power of Grayskull. So He-Man and Skeletor had to team up to beat him, which was really
Was his name
interesting.
Kronos?
Kronos, yeah, Kronos.
Yeah.
And then in later series, he got fleshed out more and more. Became one of Skeletor's kind of main men, as it were. But what I love is, I think it was the 2002 series, and it was kind of gone into a bit more detail in the comic book series as well, was that he tried to overthrow Skeletor at some point, and Skeletor and him got into a big battle, and it was Skeletor that actually knocked Kronos' jaw off and arm off. And there's an amazing comic book cover where he's kind of holding his jaw in place and there's blood, and it's a horrific figure, actually. It's a horrific character. I've mentioned a few times the Mondo series of figures. This is without doubt my favourite of the Mondo line.
So
it's
good.
just absolutely stunning. The jaw is amazing. When you open his jaw up, you can see the kind of the gaping hole where his bottom jaw should be. Yeah, this is a phenomenal figure with all the different attachments. All the different attachments for his hands and whatnot. And as you just mentioned, Luke, you can take this guy's harness and everything off, and his arm, and put a Kronos head on him. So you get a Kronos figure as well, if you so desire. But yeah, Trapjaw, one of my favourite figures, purely because as a kid, and I'm still the same now with my 1/6 scale figures and all the rest of it, I'm a sucker for figures that come with tons of accessories. I don't know why. Most of them just stay in the box, but I love a whole set of different attachments and things like that. So yeah, I love good old Trapjaw. You a fan of Trapjaw?
Absolutely love Trapjaw, and every time I see those 1/6 scale figures that you keep showing, I keep thinking that's the line I should have jumped in on. If I was ever going to do 1/6 scale, that's the line that I would want. I like that they look animated.
Yeah.
I know that people normally go for realism when it comes to 1/6 scale, but I love that they're just giant action figures. So yeah, Trapjaw and Kronos. I mean, essentially Frankenstein, right? He's Frankenstein's monster. And I love it. Yeah, I love the idea. I think originally in those mini comics, wasn't he like completely green?
Yeah,
But
he was a weird
they
colour.
changed
He was a
it for
different colour.
the action figure. And again, going back to the whole Big Jim stuff, I think that too was a character that they kind of brought over. So I think there is actually a larger Action Man style or Big Jim style figure that does have that trap jaw and everything like that. He's a bit like a Bond villain.
Yeah, because that's who this was originally based on, wasn't it? So the Filmation version was based on the Moonraker movie at the time, where Jaws featured prominently in it, and that's where they apparently got the inspiration from.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot
in itself.
It's worth checking out, guys. If you haven't checked out the Big Jim line, you can see there's quite a lot of crossover.
Yeah. Okey-dokey, that was really interesting. What we're going to do, ladies and gents, is we'll probably do a flip over in a week or so's time. What we'll do is I'll pick my favourite heroes and Luke can pick his favourite villains. I'm really interested in your thoughts, ladies and gents, so please do stick in the comments, ladies and gents, which heroes and villains are your favourite characters from the Masters of the Universe line. And please do hit that like and subscribe. And make sure you go over and check out Luke's channel at Hydra Collectibles. Luke, thank you very much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll do this again because we've got lots of Masters of the Universe content we can tap into, I think. So really
great stuff. I'm here for it.
Good stuff.
I'll be back.
Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, any money raised on this channel, whether it's through ad revenue or super chats and all that kind of stuff, goes towards mental health charities. That's your whack. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.